These are wine magazines. They've been around for a good amount of time and have been very impactful. I have them all upside down, isn't that classic? And they've been very impactful. Wine Advocate, Robert Parker, and Wine Spectator. They've been very, very fundamental to the growth of the U.S. wine market over the last 20 years. And I'm not going to sit here and bash them like so many people do, because they've brought a lot of value to me, and I think they definitely serve a purpose. We've talked about wine ratings, which is something they do in those magazines. Really, that's the gist of most of them. So Spectator does a nice job with a lot of stories, but all in all, wine critics rate wines and they use points. There's a lot of discussion. We've talked a lot about whether I should use them or not. In a lot of ways, I don't believe in them. Unfortunately, I'm a sports kid and I like points and they just kind of make me happy. However, there's something I really want to rant and rave about because I got a couple emails, back-to-back emails from 2 viewers yesterday that I think ultimately propelled me into this very serious, on a very special Wine Library TV. So you can see a lot of wines. We are going to talk about the 89-point wines. All 6 of these wines are scored 89 points by major wine critics in the U.S. And all of them are in a very unhappy place in the wine industry. Many times we joke amongst colleagues in the wine industry about it's better to get an 8 or a 9 than to get an 89. Getting an 89-point score is so interesting because people debate, it's right there about being great, but it's not good enough. You're like the last cut. You're the 13th man on a basketball team. And I think in a lot of ways, it keeps a lot of wine consumers away from buying 89-point wines because there are so many 90-point wines. And then they seem to buy wines that are either not rated or even rated like 75 or 79 because they want to see if, maybe they were off. You can kind of debate that they were so wrong. And 89 kind of says, hey, this is really good wine, just not good enough. I think that's a bunch of horse crap. Horse crap. I know sometimes found in nice Burgundy, but this time I'm talking about that I think that is pretty much the most laughable thing going on in the wine world. Hey, 89-point wines may stink, but they also may be great. And today we're going to focus and get right into the tastings. Not a lot of hoopla today, a lot of pre-game show, none of that needed. We're going to taste 6 wines today, all rated 89 points from a lot of different areas. We can talk about a lot of education. Should be a fun, filled, information-packed show, and I hope you enjoy it. Couple of links, 3 things. 1, a lot of people complained yesterday that the polls were not working. Supposedly they are now fixed. Link it up, Mott. 2 other things. A lot of you, I didn't realize we haven't done this yet, a lot of you have not seen my appearance on Ellen, or the flip side, the second day, when my appearance was so substantial, they brought it up again, so they are going to give you, when I say they, Chris and I are going to give you 2 more links. Link it up, only 3 today. Please scroll down below and check out the clips from the Ellen DeGeneres show. It was a tremendous time. Let's get right into the wines. Chehalem 2005 Dry Riesling Reserve from Oregon. This wine is 89 points. Wine Spectator, $19 US, 19 being Keyshawn Johnson's number, a most underrated New York Jet. I know he put out that book. People got upset, but I'm telling you, not a bad guy. Oregon, a place where I do believe Riesling has potential. We've seen some tremendous efforts with the Pinot Gris in Oregon, but I think Riesling is really the unsung white wine. I'm a little disturbed that the price points are a little higher than I like. Again, this is $19. There's a lot of $19 Alsatian and German Rieslings that I think bring the thunder and maybe not better, but different in a lot of ways, but you don't see the big price gap between that traditional place of Alsace in Germany where it's really established of high quality and this new world place of Oregon. I'd like to see them kind of come about. It's almost like a new car company came out tomorrow called the ZWX, and it, company instead of BMW or Mercedes, and it wanted to be $90,000 on release per car. It's kind of how I look at this. It's like, hey, let's establish a little bit of a branded, identity within the area. But U.S. prices are high in a lot of ways, a lot of labor issues, so I'm sure that's where Chehalem's coming from. It's got some nice color, a little bit darker than a lot of Rieslings that you'll see. Let's give this a little bit of a intake and inhale. Let's call it an inhale. Very nice on the nose, actually a very peach cobbler-esque nose. I'm getting also a little bit of like burnt tire. I'm thinking big wheels. Actually, remember those big a BMX bike when you skidded and you made the line and you were so pumped. You're like, God, I'm so cool. I made a tire mark on the street. Well, that rubber, that little burning action is coming through here. Rieslings a lot of times in the Northwest get this auto body shop tire peach component. That's where the famous, one more link. Let's link up the auto body shop t-shirt. quote. I don't know if we have any more of those, but if we do, maybe not. But just link it up anyway. Anyway, that's where that famous WLTV quote came from. You know, pelting peaches in an auto body shop. This also, once again, has that component. And I think I like it. Let's give it a whirl. This is a very precise wine, very focused. I like the tangy tang action that my mouth is feeling. I'm dancing in there a little bit with a grass skirt. I like it. It's very crisp and clean. I do get a little blue flint action coming through, seashell coming through as well. It's a crisp citrus bomb. I do feel like I opened a lemon right now, a lime, and licked it. I do get that component quite a bit. Overall, very solid wine. Little soft on the mid palate, and what's really concerning me is it kind of disappears on the finish. Not really what I'm looking for in my Riesling. I'd like to see it lasting a little bit longer in the mouthfeel. So that bothers me a little bit. It's got lots of different good flavors. The nose was kind of nice. The finish is extremely disappointing. When your final act is not strong, you're not going to be known as a great wine. All in all, this is a wine that I have to give a pass to. You know, to me, it's more in the 83, 84 point range. But all in all, the quality is not something I can see people really being that excited about, dropping 20 bones on this wine. So I'm going to have to give this a little bit of a pass. Let's move on. The Te Karanga 2006 Pinot Noir from Marlborough, New Zealand, 89 points, Wine Spectator. And this wine's about $16 US. It's a very nice price point for a Marlborough Pinot Noir. As you know, we've been talking about Pinot Noirs from Marlborough. If you're not familiar, if you haven't watched episodes in the past, I do believe that New Zealand is the up-and-coming Pinot Noir producer, especially in Central Otago. But Marlborough is also producing some nice Pinot Noirs. This wine is also on a screw top, which I like. And more importantly, Pinot in New Zealand tends to be very bright and vibrant, exceptionally well made. I'm very impressed with the overall winemaking skills coming out of NZ these days. The big NZ is bringing out big-time winemakers. I'm very excited about trying this wine. I've not had this at all. I've actually only had their Sauvignon Blanc in the past, so I'm curious to see what's going on here. I'm seeing a really nice, complex, dark burgundy color, which is always nice. Oh, wait a minute. Is that the sheet? No. So that's kind of cool. You can see your fingers through, so it's not completely dark like the Syrah Pinot Noirs coming out of California. Let's give this wine an inhale. Very herbaceous on the nose. That's what comes through first. With almost like canned tomatoes. Yeah, I'm getting a canned tomato-esque flavor on the nose, mixed in with a nice little herb essence. Kind of nice. I'm liking it. There's also a little hint of clove in here, which is quite exotic. There's really a nice vegetal, I almost want to say like Italian homemade meal, like oregano and tomatoes. This wine smells like a pizza. I mean, it's quite interesting. It's quite nice. I almost want to eat it. I want to eat this wine the way it smells. Let's give this a whirl. Really fascinating mocha flavor, hits you right away. You really get a little coffee bean action, which I like. I use Starbucks a lot. Coffee bean's big in California, so you know it's got a mocha kind of move, an M squared. It's a mocha move. I like that. There is still that underlining herbaceous dried barley hay action going on. Nice complexity overall. Some nice roundness. This kind of wine I would love to have with some Chinese food, especially some duck, orange duck. Oh, I love that. Where's that orange chicken? I like orange chicken. But I like duck too. This is definitely a wine that I think would go very, very well with duck. I like the overall licorice, minty kind of component I'm getting on the finish, which is more towards Cabernet flavors, but it's kind of dancing a little bit in this wine. Some good body to this wine. This is a nice wine. I like this wine overall. I think this is a wine that a lot of people can enjoy. And to me, this is an 89-point wine. Now, what does that mean? Let's get to the definition of that. That's stupid if people wouldn't buy a wine because it's rated 89. I'm just going to really get down on ratings. I'm not sure if I'm going to really. 320 episodes. I may stop. I mean, this is an 89-point wine in my world. What the heck does that mean? It could be a 95-point wine in your world or a 75-point wine in your world. Do you like mangoes, escargot, raw clams, oysters, but only from the West Coast? Lots and lots of Captain Crunch cereal, grape nut cereal, even more than that. Do you eat pickles after you eat ice cream? Do you like Big League Chew? Do you like Spree? Do you like cold pizza, cold turkey, cold mashed potatoes? Do you like those things? Can you drink warm soda? Do you like Dr. Pepper? Do you adore root beer floats? Because if your answer is no to any of those questions, then you don't have the same exact palate as I do. And the individuality in wine is the key to everything. That being said, I like this wine. And it's a good value. Pinot Noirs have gotten expensive. Let's move on. This is extremely fascinating. This is the Le Clos de Lorme from Valençay, which is 2005, which is in the Loire Valley, a very small place that a lot of people are not familiar with. This wine is $15 US, 89 points Wine Spectator. Now get this, 40% Gamay, which is found in Beaujolais, 30% Malbec, or Cot, as it's known in this area, 20% Cabernet Franc, which is the big grape in the Loire Valley, and 10% Pinot Noir. I mean, this is a brouhaha, a hodgepodge, a complete mix-up, jambalaya of absolutely different and interesting grapes. The kind of wine that I would kind of want to make. It's like Pinot and Cab Franc and Malbec, a little Gamay action. Very, very intriguing wine. 12.5 alcohol content. Ridiculously dark color. I mean, I'm really kind of surprised right off the bat on the color, given the high percentage of Gamay, but the Malbec must be dark and rich. This is totally different. I have never had a wine with this kind of blend. Let's give it a little bit of a smell action situation. A sass. Now, this is a nose that is not going to be appealing to too many people. I mean, this really smells like being stuck in the Lincoln Tunnel behind a huge bus and the exhaust is pumping directly into your car and, oh crap, I have the air in my car as the outside, not the internal thing. Why does my car always do that? Does it default to that, I think mine does. I'm like, wait a minute, why does it smell terrible? If you're from the East Coast and if you're from Jersey, New York, or these parts, you will know exactly what this wine smells like by that description. And I'm telling you, probably one of my top 5 pinpoint bouquet descriptions is this wine, because this is, my friends, a bus stuck in a Lincoln Tunnel with you, pumping that exhaust, all that crap in there directly in your face, and you're smelling it, and you're smelling it good. And you're looking at the ad behind the bus, and it's the New Jersey Lotto, and you're like, crap, did I buy Lotto tickets lately? No, but this smells like crap. This does not smell good. It smells like fumes, things that you intake that you wonder, wow, will this come back and haunt me when I'm 67? Indeed it will. Now, this is natural and it shouldn't, but it sure does smell like that. In a big way. And then drop a pickle in there, and you've really got this exact flavor. But let's see what it tastes like. And I think you see me smirking because you know I'm kind of fascinated by these kind of smells. Let's give this a whirl. Mr. Strawberry met Mrs. Sauerkraut, and even though their two families were very upset that they were dating, they decided to get married. Both families were upset, but luckily they had good foundations and everybody showed up to the wedding and they created this wine. This wine is so dominated by strawberries and sauerkraut that it's almost shocking to me. It's clear cut, it's so stinking obvious, and it's extremely fascinating. I promise you, folks, that I'm going home tonight and pulling out a strawberry and putting sauerkraut on it and eating it. That is what I'm going to do. And I recommend all of you do this as well and find this bottle in your local shops if you can. It's kind of obscure. And try the same. Because this is one of the most obvious, right pinpoint to the palate wines that I've had in a long time. I like it. It's different. I would never recommend this if I was on the floor to most people. But somebody that was willing to roll the dice, 7. winner. And that's what this is. This is a really intriguing wine. I think Spectator kind of nailed it. I'm also going to go 89 again, kind of ironic, but I think they got it. This is a very different kind of wine, very awkward, but really interesting how all these different things blended together to give such a dominant flavor profile that came through with just two simple, good old-fashioned strawberries and sauerkraut. I like it. It's interesting. It's a $15 wine, so, you know, I'm not really sure if it's a steal, but it's something worth seeking out if you're into wine, if you're into exploring, and if you're a Vaynerchuk, and if you're watching this show, you probably are. Definitely something I would seek out. The thing that's coming to mind that's really funny is I'm dying to try this with like fried dumplings. You know, I think it could be really a cool food match. Something that I would drink for 2 to 3 years. Not the easiest wine to drink by itself, but I'm telling you right now, an absolute darling with a lot of foods, especially like a meatloaf I could see it doing very well with. Let's move on, and this is probably going to be definitely different. Miguel Torres, Santa Digna, 2003 Reserve Shiraz. This wine is $89 US, and it is 89 Wine Spectator, excuse me, $8 US. 8, like the number Broadway Browning Nagel wore, the biggest disappointment in Jets history. Some really, really nice dark colors again coming through on this wine. Let's give this a little bit of a smell. A sass, smell action situation. Very, very different nose. Smelling that, Mott? Does have a big bouquet. Gosh, what is it with the Jersey Turnpike today? This also has this cloudy, kind of smoky, kind of toxic nose. Not what I expected at all. This one is more dominated, however, by blueberry pie as well. So it's like blueberry pie mixed in with Autobahn. No, more like exhaust pipe, you know, Jersey, you know, the Turnpike, which gives Jersey the reputation of being a smelly place. I understand there's fumes, there's crazy stuff going on there. Hoffa's hanging out down there, Loch Ness Monster. I mean, they're just chilling. Very, very different smell, but I'm going to... Man. What was that? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're getting... The only thing here is that there's a good 50% of just blueberry pie. So you're getting this beautiful, this is a real contrast. You're getting this beautiful blueberry pie. Then you're getting this pickly, sauerkrauty, kind of cloudy, kind of stinky, kind of oil mixed with water, mixed with rust, mixed with who knows what else. You know, things are going on the side of the highway and with the cars. But I'm really getting it again. I mean, it's like a, you know, it's a spark plug or something. Weird. Let's give it a whirl. Now, this is 85% Shiraz and 15% Cabernet. And I think the Wine Spectator was smoking on the side of the highway when they tasted and rated this wine. I totally disagree. This is Chilean wine. I find this thin and awkward. Let me just make sure. Completely off balance, very green. Tastes... They lost their mind. This is a great example where it can go the other way. This wine is bad. I'm not happy with this wine at all. It's actually got a very distinct flavor of crap. I mean, it's not crap, actually, it's just bad. This wine doesn't taste good. It doesn't taste good. It has no weight. It's missing a mid-palate. It actually finishes awful. There's really not many nice things I can say about this wine. My mom told me not to say nice, you know, if you don't have anything nice to say, you know, that whole thing. Sorry, Mom. I mean, this wine is just down and down. A pitiful effort. I'm going to score this wine 67 points, a complete pass. I'd rather you take 32 quarters and throw them outside than buy a bottle of this wine. Let's move on. This should be interesting. This is the Saint May 2003 Saint Emilion. This comes from people that make Clos Le Glace, which is one of the great Pomerol producers. Le Glace Clenay, excuse me, not Clos Le Glace, Le Glace Clenay. This wine is $17 US and 89 points Wine Spectator. Saint Emilion, mainly Merlot. So it's got a little Cab and a little Cab Franc in it. $17, a very fair price for an 89-point Bordeaux. So this is kind of interesting. Some nice dark color. Let's give this a little bit of a sass. That's pretty. It's a nice recovery from the last couple of bouquets. This has a very pretty and obvious black licorice meets strawberry, meets a little cotton candy action, so I'm liking that. Little hints of cherry juice as well, very similar to the thing I did with the Ellen with that cotton candy and cherry juice. I'm liking this. This has a very pretty nose, but it's not too over the top. It's not an over extracted bomb from Barossa or California, so I think it's holding a nice balance on the nose. Let's see what it tastes like. I'm impressed. 2003 vintage was very hot in Bordeaux, so the sugar levels really shot up on the wines. So you have much more New World flavors coming through from Bordeaux in this vintage. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Really nice wine, very polished, very elegant. I like the blueberry component that I'm getting in this wine, a little hint of cassis, which is quite nice. Kirsch Royale kind of component to this wine, which is very pretty. I get a creaminess. There's almost a custard action going on here. A little half and half, if I can say so myself. Very cute. It's a cute wine. You're cute. I like it. It's got good balance. It's got good structure. Oh, look, and it doesn't want to be known as cute. Sorry. I mean, it's a serious wine. And by calling it cute, maybe I undermined the seriousness of this wine. It's got great palate structure and very much a tremendous presence on your palate. Completely coats my palate. And a wine that I think is extremely well versed in going with a lot of foods. First thing in my mind, venison. This would be a really spectacular, over-the-top, extraordinary pairing with venison. This is a steal of a price. I'm liking this wine. I'm going to go higher in the Spectator. I'm going to go 90 plus in this wine. 17 bones. This wine will last another 3 to 6 years easily, and I think that's quite interesting to note because I think it's a kind of wine with the way prices are going in wine that if you put away a case, kind of laugh at in a couple years from now and see where it goes. Grenache, a grape that I'm so fond of, which is the structure and the foundation of many great wines from the Rhone. But this is a 2004 Turkey Flat Grenache, 15% alcohol from Australia, $18 US. Comes from 90-year-old vines, 89 points Parker. And again, the reason 89-point wines are so funny in the wine business, 89-point wines tend not to sell very well in wine shops, and 90-point wines you can't keep in stock. So it's so funny. I mean, it's so ridiculous. I mean, the subjectivity of the whole thing is ludicrous, and it's just crazy. And I hope you can see it depends on the person. I mean, there's always different things going on. I mean, heck, look at yesterday, St. Clement Europus, 91 Parker, 93 Spectator. It's a big difference in a lot of ways in those circles. This Grenache is cloudy, kind of brownish. I like brown. Let's give us a little bit of a sniffy sniff. Very perfumey. I get a little Febreze action. It's got some nice nose action. I like its nose. Strawberries are coming through very obviously for me. Once again, I don't know what it is with the pickly sauerkraut thing today, but I'm really getting a little hint of that as well. And I haven't had any of those things recently, so I don't know. It's not lingering, it's just showing up. Let's give it a whirl. Wow. This wine really tastes like strawberry juice. I mean, there's a really artificial, buy it in a packet for 99 cents, rip it open, get a nice cold bucket of water, pour it in, and then basically you're tasting what this wine smells like. There's some underlying green pepper and broccoli components, which I've got to hand it to this wine. But this is really, oh man, there it goes again. On the finish, you really get out and out strawberry artificial juice. You can buy the packets for like 10 cents. 18 bones, 10 cents. Throw a piece of broccoli and cucumber and Brussels sprout in there, and you've got this wine, a little vodka. You can buy a pint. Can get this action for a heck of a lot less than this. Not my style. Way too fake. I think the alcohol got away from this wine a little bit as well. Way too artificial strawberry flavors coming through for me. I mean, it really does taste like I licked strawberry shortcake figure circa 1984. Not my style. I'm going to score this wine 83 points in honor of Santana Moss, former Jet that I adored. I'm giving this wine a big pass. And really, at the end of the day, wine is so subjective, and it's all based on your own palate. Remember that little rant of those things. If you said no to any of those things, that means we're not exact. And that means the likelihood of you being exact with any of these magazines, did I throw them away already, is highly unlikely. So you need to taste and try new things. We scream about it all the time. All the time. Trying new things is the key to building your palate. I hope you enjoyed this show. I got a little bit into it today. Tasted wine, got a little more serious. I'll be fun in the future, I promise. Question of the day. Oh, saved it. Question of the day. The 89-point line in the wine industry is very obvious and true and in place when it comes to the business side, where people don't want to buy 89-point wines. What other lines in the sand do you find completely ridiculous and ludicrous? This is where we can get some insightful thoughts. I'm looking forward to reading this tonight. Because you, with a little bit of me, we're changing the wine world, whether they like it or not. See you tomorrow.